All right, Greg Olsen is ready to go. 14 years. He's been a great analyst for us. We're so lucky to have him. So you had Cowboys and Patriots, and that thing was over by the second quarter. Greg, what jumped out to me as a consumer, as a viewer, is that Christian Gonzalez's injury is obviously a problem. But they were listless. And this is the third time this year where New England just gets their doors blown off in the first 15, 18 plays. You tell me, are they not scripting them? Is it an energy thing? What did you see from New England? This is the third time I've seen them get into these huge holes. You played in this league for a decade and a half. Who do I point at for that?
I think it's a good question. I think we said kind of at the start of the broadcast yesterday that if you're Dallas, you don't want to play New England style of ball, which is, slow it down, ball control, trade punts. We saw New England was able to do that and beat the Jets, in week 3. But both teams came out. Dallas came down, went immediately down the field, again, had red zone issues, struggled. But then in New England's first offensive possession, they hit a big play on a scramble by Mac Jones. They went right down, matched them field goal for field goal. So their first drive, which really turned out to be their only good drive, they actually started out fairly aggressive, hit a play action pass to the tight end, Henry. Then they had a scramble. They got down there, couldn't punch it in. Gesicki just missed it in the back of the end zone. From that point on, their offense was really inept. And I think it's a combination of Dallas's defense is really good. We knew that going in. But if they don't start figuring out who are the weapons, who are the guys in the passing game that we can rely on, they lined up on third and 6 and 7. They're in 3 tight end sets, Colin. It's just in today's NFL, that's very unheard of. But obviously, it's what they feel is in their best interest, gets their best players on the field. But they have to develop some talent. They have to develop some wide receivers to support Mac Jones, or else, unfortunately, what we saw out of this offense so far through 4 weeks, there's really no indication that it'll change.
I cannot wait to watch the Eagles, a talented team not playing particularly well, and the Rams, I don't know how talented they are, but they're playing really well. I mean, they really outplayed Seattle on the road, outplayed the Colts, outplayed the Bengals for most of it. So it's and the Rams are at home in this game, although it may be a 50-50 a crowd split. But it is interesting watching Philadelphia. In all your years, we say this all the time. We know head coaches matter and quarterbacks matter. Sometimes we forget a Dan Quinn, a coordinator, or a Shane Steichen, a coordinator. And Shane Steichen leaves Philadelphia, and you'll start looking at film here. It's not that it's not productive, but there is something. It's just not quite it. I don't know what you tell me. Is Philadelphia hangover, Super Bowl loser hangover? Is it coordinator? We know the O-line's great. Do you see it? I mean, they are undefeated. What do you make of what you're seeing with Philadelphia?
It's a good question, and I'm actually anxious to dive into it. As they continue to progress, if they got all the pieces, right? There's no question from personnel. For them to be 4-0, not really play their best ball, not play even, really to the level that we saw, most often last year. For them to be undefeated and really not say we've played our best ball, I think is a testament to just how good they have a chance to be. And they can win different styles. They can win with defense. They can win with run game. They can win with Jalen Hurts throwing it. They can win with them, running 10 quarterback sneaks. It's a hard team to beat because there's no one formula to beat them. And I think LA is going to have their work cut out for them. But with a healthy Stafford and McVay and if they can get cut back to go along with the rookie who's blown everybody away, it's a serviceable group. And I think it's going to be a better game than people think.
So, you had a quarterback in Cam Newton that physically does a lot of the stuff Josh Allen does. And I think there were times when Buffalo was like everybody else, didn't quite know when to say, hey, you don't have to put the Superman cape on every drive. And I think watching him this year, they're running it less with him. They're relying on other people. And Cam was part of that. Cam was so great. There's no comp. You don't know quite what to do, pull the brakes. So I watch Buffalo and I think to myself, maybe I do feel like they listen to all the critics and they're like, we can't be as Josh reliant. I think you guys with Cam, sometimes I felt like that. It's like Cam was doing stuff nobody else could do. And you've been in those huddles. It's 3rd and 1. Just do Cam. And take me kind of through the struggle of when you have a historically transformational player, and it is hard to sometimes coach him.
Yeah, it's funny that the coordinator up in Buffalo is Ken Dorsey, who for Cam's best years was our quarterback coach in Carolina. So there is a lot of crossover. There is a lot of familiarity. There's times where I watch, just watching this highlight here of Josh Allen running it in versus the Dolphins. Like, there's a lot of plays that I recognize from our time in Carolina all those years back when Dorsey was with us. We were in those tight end quarterback rooms drawing up different plays and ways to get Cam the ball. But I think you're right. I think the struggle you go through with a Cam Newton or Josh Allen or any of those style players is when it is 3rd and 1, Colin, it's hard to make an argument that he doesn't keep the ball, right? It's hard that it's hard to make an argument when the game's on the line. Josh Allen's not going to have the ball in his hand. Cam Newton's not going to have the ball in his hand, whoever it is. It's hard for coaches when push comes to shove. Coaches are going to always put the game on the backs of the player they trust the most. And in Buffalo, there's no secret that team is based around Josh Allen, and he's one of the top, couple players in the league, regardless of position. So it's inevitable. But I think throughout the course of the last couple weeks, especially since the opener when they struggled losing to the Jets on opening week, I think we have seen them say, okay, we have a lot of good players. You mentioned the 2 tight ends. That Dalton Kincaid kid, the rookie,
yeah,
I think he has a chance to be special. I mean, he's just kind of finding his way there with Dawson Knox and Sharon, but obviously Diggs, and they got a lot of pieces. I think they're saying, you know what? For the first 3.5 quarters, we don't have to put everything on Josh Allen. He's going to make his plays just because the offense runs through him. But when it's critical downs, when the game's on the line, when it comes to real moments in the game, that formula will never change. You let your best players go out there and win the game, and sometimes it doesn't work out. But it's not an indication that Josh Allen's not the guy, because I think it's pretty clear that he is.
It's I'm watching Justin Fields. They go for it on 4th and 1. So this is my theory, that sometimes defensive coaches can struggle with how to handle young quarterbacks. So a couple examples yesterday is I didn't like the Bears. It's 28-28. Kick a field goal. Fields is getting crushed on talk radio. He's getting crushed by everybody. Let him walk off that field with a 31-28 win. If your defense can't hold him, the coaching staff can take a beating. Don't go for it. Your O-line struggles. This is not a creative play. By the way, if you're going to go for it, then let Justin Fields carry the ball and get the yard, not a running back. So I didn't like this. You tell me. The players always want to go for it. He played his best game as a pro. Get a lead. Get off you're a defensive coach. Go make plays. Or am I just talking out of my butt here? Don't know what I'm talking about.
No, I think it's a valid argument. I'm familiar with the play. Denver had no timeouts.
They didn't,
right?
but they had about 3. They had time. They had 3 minutes.
So they only could stop the clock once on the 2-minute, right? So I think the rationale is Russell Wilson just brought them back from down 21 or whatever they were down, and their offense was rolling. The Bears' offense had struggled. He got hot in the second half. Russ and that Denver, it looked like Sean Payton kind of got a feel for what they could do offensively. So the thought process by Eberflus there is, if we kick a field goal here, we give Russell Wilson, who we haven't stopped in the last 2 quarters, we haven't stopped their offense at all. We give them the ball, and at the very least, they get into field goal range to extend the game going into overtime. It's a flip of a coin. Or at the worst case scenario, he leads them down 2-minute drive. We've seen Russell do that over the years a million times. We lose. The rationale here is Detroit can't stop the clock. If we can get 1 yard, now we can talk play design, we can talk getting in the gun and just running inside zone. We could talk about being a little more creative on how to gain a yard. But the thought is, if they get that first down, they can in essence take that clock down, not all the way to 0, but they can take it below the 2-minute warning. And if you settle for a field goal, or hopefully you pop one and score, now you're giving Russell Wilson the ball back with a minute, no timeouts, and it's just a different ball game. So I actually, in theory, it's your best chance to win, right? It didn't work out, so it's very easy to criticize the decision, but you can gain 1 yard and in essence end the game with Justin Fields. Now, you talked about Josh Allen. I'm putting the ball in his hand. I'm running Q power. I'm telling him to pull it. I'm getting him on the move and give him a chance to maybe slip a guy in the flat on a zone read bootleg, or I'm giving him options. I don't know about just inside zone run, but that's a separate conversation. So I actually don't hate the play from a strategy standpoint. because you can just go ahead and almost end the game right there if you can get 1 yard.
Okay, so now I didn't like Ron Rivera's handling of Hal. So Hal comes down. You're on the road. You're a huge dog. He makes a great throw, and now I would go for 2. I don't want to go to overtime on the road. Big dog, Jalen Hurts. They have a better roster, a better quarterback. They kick the PAT, go to overtime. Now, again, I'm trying to not be a backset driver. But to me, as a big dog, if you can go to Philly and steal a win, that defense has been on the field, you'd go for 2. If you lose, Hal has his head high. I played my butt off against Philadelphia, and we could have won the game. Would you have gone for 2 here?
No, in this case, you're 100% right. And I love Ron, right? Ron's my guy. But I have to be honest, the truth is the truth. You have to go for 2 there. The narrative around ending the game with the 2-point conversion, I know is a very, it's a very easy thing because everyone always says their decision after the fact, right? You always say, well, you shouldn't have gone for it after you failed or, vice versa. But in this case, you're exactly right. When you're the underdog, you're on the road with the way the regular season overtime rules go, you're a 50-50 coin flip from the ball going to Jalen Hurts. And he takes the opening drive down and they score, and it's over.
Yep.
So with the way the rules are in the regular season, Washington did win the toss, and they had their chance in overtime, and they didn't score. But the point is, you just can't risk. You have a chance to end that game now. You've got to, your play caller's hot. You've scored 31 points. Your quarterback's made big throws, just came down. You got to have your best, got to have it play from 2 yards, 3 yards out and get the 2-point conversion. If you fail, you tell your team in the locker room, hey, man, we're going to be aggressive. We're going toe-to-toe with a team that was, in essence, right there neck and neck to be the Super Bowl champs last year. This is a sign of how good we are. You string the game out against better teams, and over time, the better team is going to win.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from The Herd or go watch a few segments from other shows on FS1.